Alright, MLB in Portland. Can they really land a team? Is it a good idea? If they get one, can it succeed? How do Portland's chances compare with other cities vying for MLB expansion or relocation? Last time I talked about MLB expansion on this channel was about a year ago at this time. At that time, I had pretty much ruled Portland out in the expansion race. But that was then, this is now. The situation has changed. At that time, relocation no longer seemed like a possibility. A's were moving to Vegas, Rays getting their new home in St. Pete. MLB was expanding to 32 teams in just a few years. Nashville was certainly getting one team in the East. Salt Lake City had just thrown their hat in the ring and were looking like the best option out west. Portland was pretty quiet, and many people thought that after years of increased crime and negative population growth, the city had lost its appetite for an MLB franchise, and was now focused on more important issues. But just last week, the Portland Diamond Project unveiled renderings for a major league ballpark in the city. A nice-looking ballpark, 32,000 seats with a glass roof to let the sun in and keep the rain out, right on the river for a beautiful backdrop, easily accessible for local residents. The kind of place everyone in the area will want to visit, and baseball fans from far away will want to make the trip out to experience for themselves. If you keep up with all the expansion talk, you'll know that it was a hot topic a year ago, but it's been pretty dead lately. All the uncertainty with the A's and Rays, both of them playing in minor league stadiums this year. MLB does not appear to be in a position to grow the number of teams. The A's move to Vegas seems like it is going to happen, but the Rays, not so sure. Their situation has reignited relocation talk, and when relocation is mentioned, Nashville is always the first city to come up, so they could get their team that way. That would open the door for two cities, other than Nashville, to land MLB expansion franchises, whenever expansion really does happen. MLB definitely wants one team in the South and one team in the West to try and catch up with the population shifts that have occurred in recent decades. MLB started in the Northeast and Midwest, at a time when the majority of the country's population was in those two areas. Teams haven't moved from smaller cities in those areas because they've got enough loyal fans to remain. At the same time, though, MLB wants to try and win over new fans in the newer cities. If you look at a map of the South, from Atlanta to Texas to St. Louis to DC, inside of this area there are no MLB teams. Every major sports league, besides MLB, has teams in North Carolina and Tennessee. NFL and NBA have teams in New Orleans. MLB has nothing in that large section of the country. So with Nashville making a serious bid and no other city in the South in the running, Music City will be given top priority. One way or another, whether through expansion or relocation, Nashville is getting a team. Orlando is trying too, but after the problems with the two Florida teams, I think they're wasting their time. After that, they want one team in the West, so Portland, Salt Lake City, Austin, or San Antonio could also be considered. Not really out west, but compared to the rest of MLB, it's far enough in that direction. But no city in Texas is making a serious bid, so it comes down to Portland and Salt Lake City. If Nashville gets a relocated team, it's very likely both Portland and Salt Lake City get a team. Nothing wrong with two new teams in the West. The balance of teams in MLB is already tilted toward the East, so this would actually balance it out a little. There's also Montreal and Orlando hoping to get expansion teams, but at the moment the two cities in the West are furthest along in their plans. Out of the two cities, Salt Lake City is ahead in the race. Both cities have groups pushing for expansion. Both have released stadium renderings and proposed locations. But the big difference is the money. The state of Utah is setting aside $900 million. That doesn't cover all the costs, of course, but it takes care of a big chunk of it. How much will the state of Oregon be able to offer up? Probably nowhere near that much. We really don't know yet what the plan is in Portland, though. Maybe they'll be able to cover everything with private funds, or at least enough to where they don't need so much in public funding. We'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, Salt Lake City's got the best situation. So, can Portland get an expansion team? Yes, they have a very good chance. Not the front runner, but one of the top three cities, in a race where three cities may all end up with major league teams. Let's say that Portland gets a major league team. They've got a brand new ballpark, players signed, logos drawn up, and they take the field on opening day 2030, or something like that. What happens after that? Will the team be successful? Sure, they can land an MLB franchise, but is it a good idea? Whenever MLB expansion in Portland is brought up on social media, the biggest problem with it, cited in the comments, is crime. And yes, crime is a problem in Portland. Higher violent crime rate than most cities of a similar size, though the rate did drop a little in 2024. But MLB is not going to turn down a Portland bid because of crime. Major league franchises have operated in far more dangerous cities without any problems in the past. And the other major sports franchises in Portland, Blazers, Timbers, don't have any problems either. The only thing I could see being a problem was if they built the new stadium downtown, which was previously proposed. But that idea has been scrapped, and the current idea is to have it built a little out of the way. Still easy to get to, but far enough away from where all the crazy stuff happens. The problem that I've always brought up is the population decline, both the city of Portland and the 5-county metro area. That's been going on since 2020. It's big enough for sure. Metro area ranks 25th in the U.S., bigger than Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Cleveland, and Milwaukee. But those cities have had major league teams for a long time, and there's a strong sense of loyalty to the teams in those cities that Portland won't be able to get right away. Portland is also bigger than Vegas and Nashville, but Vegas and Nashville are growing quickly, and unless something changes drastically in the near future, they'll eventually pass Portland in population. But the population decline is very gradual. At the current rate, it can lose residents annually and still remain in the top 30 for many years to come. If there was another city of similar size pushing for an MLB expansion team, and it was growing, I'd say go with the growing city. Also, if Portland was just barely large enough to support an MLB team, and shrinking, I wouldn't think it's a good idea. But as things stand, it's got enough people to support a team, and will have enough people for many years to come. Besides, it appears the city may be returning to growth. So, enough people in the area and they're not getting mugged on the way to the ballpark. 81 sellouts a year. Oh, if it were only that simple. No matter how many people you've got, you still need to get them out to the ballpark, and keep them coming, even when the team's not doing so well. Last time MLB expanded was in the 90s. 2 expansions, 4 teams. Rockies, Marlins, Rays, and D-backs. Of the 4, the Rockies are the only ones that haven't had attendance issues. Could be many reasons for that, but one big reason is that the Rockies have a nice ballpark. Coors Field is much better than Chase Field. Tropicana Field is even worse. Marlins' new place is not bad, but their first 2 decades were played in a football stadium. A good ballpark brings out the casual fans, even the non-fans. It's a good experience for everyone in attendance, and it's a place people want to come back to. In other words, a ballpark with a good atmosphere can create fans. A real fan will show up regardless of the atmosphere, but his friends and family probably won't. So it's no surprise they're not settling for any old venue. They're trying to build something pleasing to the eye. The CEO of the Portland Diamond Project even hinted that it may have the best backdrop of any major league stadium. That's going a little too far, I think, but it looks like it would definitely be one of the better ones in MLB. If they can fund this place, looks really expensive, but if they can pay for its construction, I think they'll get good turnout year after year. Another thing they've got going is their nearby geographic rival for all sports, Seattle. Good rivalry between their soccer teams, and used to have the same thing in basketball. Mariners fans are sure to spill on over from Washington State when their team's in town, and the 2 teams would most certainly be placed in the same division, so the Mariners would be paying plenty of visits to Portland. That's a good thing, unless the stadium is full of Mariners fans. I've heard from some that baseball fans in Portland already root for the Mariners, which would make sense, it is the nearest team. But correct me if I'm wrong, I've never lived in Portland so I can't say for sure, but there are probably a lot of sports fans around there that just don't feel that strongly about baseball. But if they get a team there, that'll change. That would put them right in line with other mid-sized cities in America that don't have MLB teams. There's a major disconnect between MLB and the cities without MLB franchises, a bigger disconnect than seen with the NBA or NFL. But a team they can call their own, especially one in a ballpark with a great atmosphere, can turn them into fans instantly. So Portland can land an MLB expansion team, and the team can be a success there. Wouldn't be my first choice, wouldn't be a bad choice either. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments. That's all for this one, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya!